Today we'll be giving a gameplay overview and review of the game No Siesta, created by Andreas Odendahl and published by Stronghold Games. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode with To Die For Games. I'm Mandi, the board gaming pinup girl. My fellow hosts are...
Tracy, the gaming maven.
Stephane, the game's teacher.
Want to see what we think of the game? Well, timestamps below.
Leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing, and subscribe to be notified when we post new content.
No Siesta plays in about 30 minutes, is suggested for ages 10 and up, and accommodates 1 to 4 players. We've got No Siesta all set up and ready to go, so let's get to it.
Players are farmers trying to expand their farms, bring goods to market, and deliver those goods to gather the most points before the end of the game. So Mandi, tell us, what's inside the box?
9 dice, 1 pad of player tally sheets, 1 pad of score sheets, 4 pencils, 32 wooden discs, 8 for each player, 24 roof tiles, 36 helper tiles, 6 in each player color, and 12 gray tiles, 1 Siesta track board, 1 the Esporals market board, 4 revenue boards in the player colors, 1 start player peg, and the rulebook.
Each player takes a tally sheet, pencil, their player discs, helper tiles, and revenue board. Place the Siesta and the Esporals market boards in the center of the table. Players keep 4 of their discs and place 1 of the remaining onto the bottom of the Siesta track, and the rest next to the board in the center of the table. Shuffle the roof tiles and place them face down in a stack next to the game boards. The start player takes the pig token and grabs the amount of dice based on the number of players. Any unused pieces are returned to the box. Now that we're all set up, how do we play? Tracy?
Each round, players simultaneously play the following 3 phases in order. Phase 1, dice phase. The start player rolls all the dice, and in turn order, each player takes 1 of the dice and marks the revenue gained from the top face of that die by placing disc or discs on their revenue board. The start player then re-rolls the remaining dice, and the players repeat this process. Finally, the start player will re-roll the final die, and all the players receive the revenue on the top face of that die. Note, if players do not have enough discs to place on their revenue board, they lose that revenue. Players may decide to forego revenue from one chosen die, but must do so as soon as that die is chosen. Phase 2, scoring phase. In turn order, players will then record their revenue onto their tally sheets. Players may use the revenue on any matching spots on their tally sheet and or Siesta track, following any special rules. After they mark their sheet, the player removes the disc from their revenue board. Note, if players complete certain areas on their sheet, the player receives a commodity as a bonus. Players may have multiple commodities, and if they don't have a disc, they must use that commodity immediately or forego it. When completing the cart area, players may place a disc on one of the spaces of the Esporals market board. Phase 3, end of the round. In turn orders, players can now perform the following steps. Hire helpers. If a player has completed a helper space, they may now choose 1 of their helper tiles and place it on the completed space. Write off revenues. With the exception of 1 commodity, players may not store any revenue, so they must use it or lose it. New start player. The start player rotates to the next person on the left. So, how does the game end? Mandi?
The game ends when 1 or more players reaches the last spot on the Siesta track. After the round ends, players score up their sheets. Players score points for completed areas, rows, or columns on their tally sheet. They also receive points from bonuses on roof tiles, the number of spots they have progressed along the Siesta track, as well as from their spots in the Esporals market board. Note, in the carts area, only the first person who completed each row will score the higher number, which is noted at time of completion. Other players who complete the row score the lower number. The player with the most points wins. So that is how you play No Siesta. And now we're ready to give a review of No Siesta. What do you guys think?
I liked it. I like its mother game, the one that came before it, so I definitely figured I would like this game, and I did.
It did not put me to sleep. No siesta, in fact. No
Exactly.
siesta.
I too enjoyed this game. It was really fun, and it was light, so it was a lighter version of the Granja, which we will touch on a little bit later. So let's talk about artwork and theme.
So the artwork is very similar to the original game. It's got that kind of nice feel, very soft colors, easy to see. Well, I guess we're talking about this in quality of components, but some of it was a little trickier to see, but I liked the way it felt, because as soon as you got onto the table, you're like, oh, this game is familiar. I know this game. It's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, same here. I like the color scheme, and the iconography was the same as in the original game. I felt everything was a little small, but they packed a lot of game into that small box, so that's why that was the trade-off, I guess.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the exact same thing, that I found it a bit small. However, small box, you know, nice. It's a bit easier to travel with, I guess. Then I mean, it has to be kind of small. I am not a huge fan of those types of colors. However, it worked with the theme of the game, so in that respect, it was good. Quality of components.
Everything was pretty good. The cardboard was a good thickness. The paper sheets they're paper sheets. There's not much to be said there. The colors were good. I thought the quality was good.
Like we were talking about, the tally sheets are the thing that are the hardest, because for old eyes like these, I'm not wearing reading glasses yet, but soon, it was a little hard to see for some of the parts, because they were so small. So you know that, but I get it. I get why they had to do it, but that would probably be my biggest downfall to it. I did like the dice. The dice are the wooden dice, but I liked how they kind of switched that up to take the aspect of the original board game, instead of having spots to put the dice, using the dice with those images. So that was really neat.
So the dice I liked. I didn't like the fact that you had to sticker them yourselves. Okay, I was just being lazy. Okay, sorry. However, if I wanted to pay like additional $20, then I would expect it. But for the price, I mean, it is what it is, and you had to sticker the dice. That's fine. But the actual quality of the dice were good. I do wish more games, and it's not just this one, would use reusable sheets. I don't know if it's like a laminate, like, I mean, I could do it myself, but even if you just to save paper, you just put in laminated sheet with like markers, and then that way you're not wasting paper.
Exactly.
You know?
Because once you're done and you forget to do that, you're like, oh, I have none.
Scan it and print more, but then that's work too.
Yeah, so, or maybe you order more, I don't know. So I'm sure there's a plan there, but, you know, let's save some trees and see, maybe we can laminate.
I fully agree.
Okay. So other than that, though, things were very good for this game. Gaming mechanics, or game mechanics.
I really like the fact that they kept a lot of the original game's mechanics in this small portable format. You had very similar decisions that you had to make, and I liked the original game, and I liked this game as well. So that was good for me.
Good.
In the original game, La Granja, I know I'm not pronouncing it right. My apologies, but you had fixed rounds. In this one, it was interesting because the Siesta track determined how long the game would play, so you could make it a little longer. You could really quicken it up and force people to play quicker, depending upon what you wanted to do. And the thing I liked, especially about this, like I said, they kept the mechanics of the dice. They just changed it up to make it more of a dice game instead of a board game. But everything just kind of felt like it went well together, and they kept all the mechanics, the best parts of the mechanics, and put into this tiny little game. Yeah,
so it was familiar, which I think a lot of people liked. If you had played La Granja, then you knew, okay, this is going to happen, or ooh, roof tiles, that's familiar. So I mean, I like that they kept some of the basic components of the game and just kind of lightened it up with the dice, and you know. But to get some of the products that you need to fulfill the objectives on the board, they made it a bit simpler. So I mean, this is something I've actually played with 2 players in a lunch hour. So now we're gamers, so if you were playing with someone new, this may take a little bit longer. But I thought those were great that they stuck to the basics of the original game. So let's talk about similar games. Can you think of any similar games to this one besides
its mother one?
Exactly.
One that comes to mind for me is Roll Through the Ages.
I haven't played this one.
Which was also a dice-based game. You had paper sheets. You had to cross off sections that you were covering up. So that's one that came to mind.
That would actually be a perfect one. And they have a couple different versions of that. Right. They have two.
Yeah, Roll Through the Ages.
And then Roll Through the Iron Age.
There was the Iron Age, and the other one was, I forget the subtitle. I apologize.
Very similar mechanics, almost to a T, actually.
Okay, I have not played those games, so I'm going to trust your opinions. That'd be a similar game. Final thoughts.
Like I said, when I first we got the original kind of on spec, and we loved it, loved the look of it, and I like that this kind of just simplifies things, makes it a little easier, a little bit more accessible, because the original game has some fiddly bits that could be difficult for some people, and I just like how they made it nice and compact. It's perfect.
Everything Tracy just said.
So I also really, really enjoyed this game. I also like the fact that you're not just stuck playing the same thing over and over again. They gave you some additional workers there that you could use.
Neutral workers.
Right, so that can help you out as well if you wanted to give yourself a bit more of a challenge. I don't know, overall I just really like the feel of the game, the ease of the game. Looking at it at first, I gotta tell you, it looks like, oh my gosh, it looks complicated because everything's so small and there's a lot of it. But then once you start playing, you're like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, it makes sense and it's pretty easy to catch on to everything. And I also like the fact with the dice that, you know, you take one, everyone takes one, you roll again, so you never know what you're gonna get. It's a mixed bag. So overall, I give it a 2 thumbs up.
2 big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up.
Exactly. So looking forward to playing it again. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.